What is going on, everybody? It is Corey Lee going here on this walk. I thought I might discuss some things with y'all today. So sometimes there's really nothing you can do about anything. Really. It's like one season in your life is real profitable, real good. If everything is going well, and then you look around and for only God knows what, it's like everything just start falling apart on you. And not in a way that you can honestly say that I worked for that, right? It's like everything fall apart on you no matter what you do. Like it's like you can't try hard enough to do what's right. For everything to work right. Everything fall apart. Car break down. Lose your job. You owe all this money and everybody owe you money. And it's almost nothing you can do about nothing. Kids need this. And you like, look, if I had it, I'd make sure I do it. But right now I'm doing all that I can. Literally all that you can. And sometimes we don't always know that we ain't really doing all that we can. Because we don't even know what all is sometimes. Right? Sometimes all that we can is only really within the parameters of all we know. Man, I'm sitting here looking at the car that totaled my car. I would have never thought I'd be walking by this place today right now. That's crazy. And that's another thing, man. That's like kind of like one of the reasons I'm sitting here talking about this in the first place. Like that is the exact car that came by and totaled my truck. But drunk driving down the wrong side of the street, speeding. But knocked a parked SUV 20 feet down the road into my neighbor's yard. Screwed us all the way over. All of us. Like, you know what I'm saying? But it's all good, though, because God will make sure that everything work out in my good. And that ain't the only thing that got screwed up either. You know, there were things that I personally owed other people. That I was actually supposed to sort out with the car. Can't even do it. But now you got everybody wondering what's going on with you. And you sitting around here wondering what's going on with everything else that was supposed to be taking care of you. Right? But like you done did work for a lot of people, ain't seen a dollar yet. Ain't seen a dollar yet. Ain't heard back from the insurance company yet. Only thing you got left to do is sell one of your kidneys, right? It ain't enough time to go find a job. You needed that money already. But not 2 weeks from now, or however long that take. So it's like that might help, but that ain't the answer right now. Like we need something today, something sorted out right now. But you want to know something though? God, He allow everything to happen in your life for a reason. And it's like I get on Facebook, and I done seen this post like 4 times this morning. I done seen it like twice yesterday. I just keep seeing it. God is not punishing you. He's preparing you. Don't trust your pain. Trust the process. It's crazy. And it's like just last night, man. Because only God knows what it is He has for me to do in my life, right? And I'm sitting here and I'm really trying my best. And it's always like the more I try, the worse things get. And if I was ignorant to the spiritual world, if I was ignorant to the fact that there's always a spiritual war going on, if I was ignorant to the kingdom of darkness, I would really form the thoughts and say, God must hate. Man, God must really don't like people doing what they called to do, because it's like the more you try, the worse stuff get. And it's like everything go through his hands. But why don't you do anything about it? But now you see what's going on here. And it's almost like you just let it. Only if I was ignorant to all of those things I just said, I would probably form those thoughts. But that would not be a hard thought to have. It would not be hard. Because I guarantee you, when my whole life was all about just living my life, nah, you ain't had none of them issues. Ain't had none of them issues when life was just about living it. But the moment you get up and you put your best foot forward to live for a higher purpose than just you living your life, all hell break loose. And sometimes it seems like God take forever to respond. He take forever to deliver you from the trials and tribulations you go through. It seems like this go on forever. And it's not that it even go on forever. That's not even it. It usually seems like he don't respond until it get as bad as it can possibly get. All the way until that very last flame that burned you to death is when he usually be like, okay, all right, that's enough. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, sometimes I really want to ask, like, why do it work that way? Like, just why? Sometimes I really want to ask the question, like, why do you let stuff get as bad as it could possibly get before it's just way too out of hand? Before you ever even intervene and involve yourself in these seemingly supernatural occurrences that bring trials and tribulations in your life, because only you know that they supernatural. Like on a regular day, this would have never went on like this, in this order, in this fashion. See, like, to the natural man, it's like stuff happened. But to the spiritual man, it's like, no, see, stuff don't just happen. Like it don't just happen. Everything happened for a reason. And to the natural man, it's like, well, you must be doing something wrong for bad things to go on. It's like, well, I remember when I was actually doing wrong, and I had all good things coming my way. Like, I remember days like that. I remember days when I was knee deep in sin and had it going on. And I ain't even believe in Jesus Christ for salvation. Not like I do now. Not like I do now. So it's like, you can't tell me that, because I'm a very observant person. Sorry, we got that train blowing that horn real loud. But I'm a very observant person. I look at how a lot of stuff work out and how and why. And I really like to get in on what really makes things tick. Like, what makes them work the way they do? What are the details of the situation? See, a lot of people aren't detail oriented, but not only am I detailed oriented, I also know how to look at the landscape view of it too. A bird's eye view of it too. After all, I'm an artist. So, like, I gotta know how to see all points of view of the situation. I need to know how to see all sides of it. I need to know how to look at individual trees and the whole forest all at one time. As an artist, those are things you usually learn to pay attention to. You know, like, but what kind of a photographer would I be if I see this nice landscape and I'm not paying attention to that annoying blue trash can sitting right in front of it? Oh, but it's a nice landscape though. It's like, but move the trash can. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, but just really being able to sit down and observe, you know dang on well, a lot of your situations that you go through are supernatural. There's a spiritual war going on right now. Our shadow government, people like that has unleashed demons in this atmosphere. They open up portals. Portals get opened up around you from just some of the people you come in contact with on a daily basis. And a lot of times you just don't know because you can't see it. And it's not always about what you feel like either, because your feelings won't determine what your spiritual life is always about. Because I might wake up one day feeling saved. I might wake up the next day not doing nothing that different, and just feel like I'm distant from God. All I can go by is what is actually going on. All I can go by is what the word of God said. I can't go by what nothing looked like. I can't go by what I feel like. I can't go by what nobody says or does. All I can go by is what does God say. Like, what did he say about me, to me? That's all I can go by. And sometimes when you go through these trials and your tribulations and stuff, sometimes your feelings can be the judge of what it is. And that's not true. They lied to you. The heart is desperately wicked and deceitful above all things. Who can know it? That's in scripture. The heart is desperately wicked and deceitful above all things. Who can know it? Like, you can't always go by your heart, because your heart ain't gonna always tell you the truth. But your heart changed with the wind. It ebbs and flows. And all you really trying to do is live your purpose. That's it. All you really trying to do is plug in. But like, one thing that you need to know. Ooh, that's a big dog. And it looked like that gate open too. But one thing you really need to know is that the enemy don't take too kindly but to you putting up a warfare against him through all the things that God has called you to do in ministry. Like, he does not take too kindly to me even putting out this message of encouragement to anybody that could be going through a similar thing that I am going through right now. Because why? He wants these things to come by in some people's life who probably just haven't been there, and cause them to lose faith. Cause them to lose faith. But just don't lose your faith, man. Like, that's the only thing you got. If all you had was faith, hold on to it. Didn't Jesus say in Revelation to hold on to what you have and strengthen those things that remain? I could be saying that out of order, but those words did get said. Hey, I don't care if them was in 2 different chapters. Those words God said. Hold on to what you have and strengthen that which remains. If all you got left is faith and you can't put forth no effort, hold on to that. All it takes is faith is small as a mustard seed, to be able to move mountains. But heck, he ain't say it take effort. He said it took faith to do that. And because we lived the vast majority of our life outside of a faith-based system, sometimes we can revert back to our carnal ways. Sometimes we can revert back to, I should have done better. I should have tried harder. I should have never went there. I should have never said that. Sometimes you can't help what happened. Sometimes you ain't even did nothing wrong. What if you were supposed to go there and say that? What if? What if? See, I don't know if people know this about God, but he look for things in your life to seek occasions to test your faith. Oh yes, he do. He look for stuff in your life to seek occasions for your faith to be tried and tested. If I was you, sometime it ain't like, heck, like do what you can do to not be hanging out on a limb sometime, man, because hey, like that can and will be used to test your faith. Can and will. You start a business, that's going to be used to test your faith. You get married, that's going to be used to test your faith. You start a new job, that's going to be used to test your faith. You get a new house, that's going to be used to test your faith. Heck, after you think about it, you're going to say to yourself, man, like I'm better off not even here. Like I don't even want nothing else. Perfect. And why do I say it's perfect, but not to want another thing? Because that way, nothing can be that much of an idol to you. Nothing can be used to be an idol to you. I no longer idolize marriage. It's caused me too much hell. I no longer idolize starting a business. It caused me too much hell. I no longer idolize being rich. It caused me too much hell. I no longer idolize being in any high position, doing anything. It caused me too much hell. And you just as good as what? A dead man. That's what he's after, is making you a dead man. But now why would somebody like the living God want you to be a dead man? Because love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. If any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him. The things in the world, that go for everything. Love it not. That way, you can actually deal with it properly according to what a Christ-like person is supposed to do. If you got too much love for the things in the world, they're going to always be used as an idol. And idols lead you into sin. Because you put too many expectations on things. Like you got too many imaginations for how stuff ought to be. No, like don't expect anything of anything. That's what he after. Making you a dead man so that what? Christ can live through you. If you are not dead to the things in your life, it don't matter what it is. I really don't believe it's a good idea that you have them, because the only thing that's going to happen is you're going to be tempted and led astray by them. And that's the last thing you want, is to take what God gave you and become his enemy with it. But to take the marriage he gave you and become his enemy with it. To take the house he gave you and become his enemy with But to take the money he gave you and become his enemy with it. To take the kids he gave you and become his enemy with them. So all of these things get used to test you, man. They all do it. Sometimes trials last for years. Years. Like you can have everything else tight, but it's this one nagging thing in the back of your mind that just ain't been resolved yet. And there is nothing you can do. Well, sometimes it ain't always nothing you can do. But a lot of times there are things you can do. But those things you can do are things that you do as a result of losing patience. Those can be things you do as a result of losing respect for God. Those could be things you do as a result for losing faith. Yeah, you can always go back to selling weed. Yeah, you can always go back to earning your coins through a sinful lifestyle. Heck, I mean, you could always do that. But like, ain't it weird how the day you lose your job, the strip club is calling you back, asking if you can come back and work a weekend or something? Ain't it kind of strange how the day you lose everything, the only people welcoming you is people you know that's going to corrupt good manners? Evil communication corrupt good manners. It seemed like that be the only thing around. It's environments that was going to corrupt good manners. And ain't that kind of strange though? And so like that bring me back to the whole point of me saying that a lot of your trials are supernatural. There is no way in the world, I was going to say no way in hell, but hell is capable of anything. But there's no way in the world that things just work out like that. And you like, man, I could go make a couple thousand for the weekend, but DJing at the strip club. I could just go. I could just go. Now here go your homie trying to put you back on. You like, man, I really do need the money. He like, man, look, man, I got these pills, man. Heck, man, all I want is 50. You like, man, I can make a few hundred off this. Man, like, I know people that want this today. Fentanyl, something like that. Fentanyl. You like that? You know you can kill somebody with that, right? Man, I don't care. Heck, if I don't sell this, I might end up dead of hunger. Heck, then you got the devil in your ear. It must be of God. There is no other reason why this would work out this way if this wasn't what God would want you to do. Oh man, here you go with that. Boy, that's another one. The devil getting in your ear, giving you all these alternative ways out of it. All this time I've been in this situation, I've been tempted to just sell off my camera gear. I'm like, look, every single time we put our best foot forward to start putting this movie together, I just start losing stuff. Every single time, like, man, like you make 1 inch of effort, you start losing 2 inches. Everywhere, you like, man, what the heck? Man, what the heck? And I'm just sitting there thinking, man, and some of them thoughts don't even be my own. I'm like, man, like I don't even know if this is even something God want me to do, because if it was, it wouldn't have to work like this. I don't even know if this is even God's will, because if it was, like, he'll part the sea. Like, you know what I'm saying? And then you start looking at all the miracles that took place beforehand, but that got you where you are right now. and now it's time to move, and all hell break loose. And then here go the devil. Well, all you got to do is just go take it to a pawn shop. Heck, I mean, you ain't even got to sell it to them. You could just pawn it. Heck, like that's enough money to fix your car right there. You fix your car, you get back to work, you go back and pay it. It's like, look, now I'm seeing firsthand how there is nothing I can do that gets me out of this. Nothing. But now who's to say, oh no, this actually happened to me before. Like I'm not just coming up with this off the top of my head. This actually happened before. But now who's to say that even if I did pawn the camera and spent the money on fixing my car, like what if there's other stuff wrong with it that still don't get me nowhere? And after all that money spent, now I owe more money than what I even have on both the camera and the car. Like, you know what I'm saying? Now you in a double loss. Like, you just like, man, come on. Man, I should have known. Yeah, that actually happened before. Like, why do you think I'm so cool, calm, and collective through what it is that's going on right now? But you don't know what's going on right now. Like, you don't know the full story. So, like, I mean, like, to you, this could sound like a piece of cake compared to your problems, right? But if only you knew, you'd be like, man, yeah, like you seen this happen before, didn't you? Yup, same time of year, same everything. It's just the last time I tried to sidestep the trials. But I like, look, I read in the book of Ecclesiasticus, and I know a lot of people don't read the Apocrypha, but it says something like, when you set your heart to serve the Lord, prepare your heart for temptation or trial or tribulation, that word is. The whole chapter 2 of the book of, man, I can't pronounce that word. It's the book of Sirach. Sirach. The whole chapter 2. Man, look, man, like just yesterday, God told me to open up that book and go to chapter 2. I went to chapter 2 and I'm like, dang. Like, it also says stuff like, don't lose your patience when you are brought low. A patient man might weep for a moment, but in his latter end, he'll be full of joy. Man, read the whole chapter 2. Some told me to bring the book and just start going through the book. Man, just get that book and go to chapter 2. And I read the Hallelujah scriptures of that version of that book. But the King James, like the old English version, might sound a little different. Right? Don't lose your patience, man, because your latter end, you'll be increased. Just suffer through it right now. Cling to God. Just cling to Him. Sometimes you don't even know how to do that. Sometimes you just don't know what that looked like. Like, you never seen somebody else in front of you cling to God in a similar situation. And so to you, that can mean anything. Anything. Man, look, like, here's what I do, right? Sometimes I forget, right? I ain't even gonna lie to you. Like, sometimes I forget to cling real hard to God because trial and tribulation is a common thing in my life. And I've seen God deliver me from all of them. And so when trial and tribulation come by, sometimes I just kind of blow it off like, oh yeah, another one of these. Yeah, no big deal. Yeah, yep, another one of these, no big deal. Like, who cares? And like, you could honestly get desensitized to it. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, you can get desensitized to trial and tribulation just from it happening like this on repeat. Like at a certain time of year, it's always this time of year when I encounter the most trial and tribulation. As soon as it start getting cold outside. But it's gonna be a time when it become unbearable, and all you can do is go for a walk, talk to God, and just cry. Just like that's all you can do is just cry. And while you at it, it's gonna be a bunch of folk bothering you, nagging you, nitpicking you, finding problems out of thin air with you, and you just really trying to just cling to God right now. Man, look, it's always gonna be some of that, man. Every time you try to cling to God, is always gonna be something that come around in the midst of that time, but that's gonna try and bring you back alive to the matrix again. It's always gonna be somebody calling you with a problem in the middle of your praying. It's always gonna be somebody texting you with some madness in the middle of your praying. All they trying to do, and they ain't even trying to do it. They just don't know that that's what you got going on right now, and they don't know that they being prompted by the enemy. So be patient with people, because they don't know that they being used by the enemy. So you got to learn how to just die to everybody's complaints. You got to learn how to die to everybody's arguments, everybody's problems with you, everybody's problems they got in their life that only you can solve according to them, and you really ain't got the means to solve nothing. Not right now. Everybody is always somebody trying to drag you back. And if it ain't a negative situation, it'll come in the form of a positive situation. Hey, would you like to go and do such and such with us tonight? It's like, look, yes, I would. This couldn't be from the devil. It's positive. It's like, dude, but you in the middle of clinging to God. I think maybe you should stay home and keep clinging to God. That could be the difference between this being solved tomorrow or next month. And that's a big gap. All over refusing to cling to God. And in the midst of your trial, keep serving God. Remember, it says, when you set your heart to serve the Lord, prepare yourself for tribulation. You have to prepare yourself for tribulation when you set your heart to serve God. You got to. Like it ain't no other way. It just ain't another way. Everybody want to be on this here YouTube talking about the Bible all the way until they got to go through. And now they wondering where God is and why ain't he doing nothing. Well, I don't see the point in. And here I am talking about the goodness of the Lord, and my life's a living hell out of nowhere. Out of nowhere. It ain't no sense in me. Man, look, don't think like that. That's an easy thought to have. I'm not lying to you. People have it harder just joining the army. That's the army. This is a spiritual army. This game get dirtier. Your own kids can be used against you, turned on you. Hey, these ain't just bullets flying, man. These are souls at risk. Souls, including yours. For real. But you just gotta trust God, man. Sometimes, look, if you can't do nothing but just talk to him and tell him what you really feeling like right now. Like what you really thinking right now. And make sure you clarify that. Hey, this is what I'm thinking right now, but I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't want to think this. Like, make sure you specify that. Because you don't want to. Hold on, somebody calling me. Because you don't want to set yourself up for unnecessary condemnation, like, your own conscience. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. It's like, look, Lord, like, this is what I'm feeling like. Look, now let me tell you what I was, because you don't want to set yourself up for unnecessary condemnation. So always be clear and direct with God. Like, and tell him exactly what it is. Don't accuse him. Nothing like that. Always be clear and direct with him. Sometimes he ain't even gonna respond until you just open up to him. Like that's all he wants you to do is just open up to him, like a father, like somebody you got a relationship with. Sometimes the difference between you coming out of your trial or it lasting longer is you opening up to God or closing down on him. Always open up, man. Like, I ain't even gonna lie to you. Like, just yesterday, man, I was on a walk and I'm sitting here thinking to myself, I was actually in the middle of prayer, and I'm like, I ain't even get it. Like, I didn't even say it. It was just something that I thought, and it just really brought tears to my eyes. And I'm just sitting here thinking, like, how come it seemed like everybody who set their heart to serve the kingdom of darkness, they always start off far more prepared and equipped. Equipped was the word. It's almost like they be so much more equipped than us who want to serve the kingdom of God. All you got to do is serve the kingdom of darkness. You got finances, tools, supplies, connects, partners, supporters, all this other stuff. But it's like, man, you want to do this for the living God. It's almost like you just get dropped off in the middle of a desert and told to figure it out. It is not necessarily like that, but sometimes that's just seemed like what it seemed like. You just be sitting there thinking, like, now I thought I was on the side of the true and living God who can do anything, who is more than willing to provide from all of his riches and glory. And it seemed like I'm always in a position where I can't make another move at all. I can have all the tools and supplies, no finances. I can have finances, no ideas, no revelation. I can have all the revelation, ideas, tools, finances, but nobody want to join, nobody want to support. Now you got to do it all by yourself. It's always something missing. Like that's just kind of what it seemed like. It's like we got everything we need right now to just take off. It is always something missing, and if it ain't something missing, it's something being took away. Heck, now you ain't got a house to live in. Now you ain't got a car to drive to get to and from different locations. It's like, man, what in the world? It's like, and this was just a thought, and these ain't things people talk about. These aren't things that you hear ministers on the pulpit say, but because a lot of them ain't gonna keep it real with you. Like, some of them ain't even called for real. It always seemed like all the people who serve the wicked forces in this world, they always get more of a leg up than we do. And our God is much more capable than theirs. But why do he just let it happen like this? Like, why do he just watch it go on like this and say, you better not lose faith now? It's like, man, sometimes, like, you just be sitting there thinking, like, man, do he even want me to do this? Like I could guarantee you, like, if I wanted my son to mop the floor, I would actually give him a mop and a bucket, show him where the water is, and the cleaning supplies. And but then it's like, and it's not that God won't do that. Like he do, and he can do way more than do what you want him to do. He can do far more than you can even expect to be possible. But what, it really make you want to think that, like, what the heck? Like, come on. But let me tell you something though. You just gotta push through that. Like, if that's what you thinking, hey, it's not a hard thought to have. I promise you. Like, it really will pop up in your head just like that. You just be like, man. But now I can bet you, if I was one of these satanic rappers, you know, putting pyramids all in my videos and third eyes and all that other mess, man, like I wouldn't even have to go through all this right now. Like, dead serious. Like, I mean, like, that's what it's like for real. I'm not lying to you, but you want to know something though? God is not looking for people who only want to serve his cause because of what they can get out of it. God is looking for people who's willing to do this no matter what happened. God is looking for people that's willing to stick with him even if it seemed like he ain't nowhere around. Because all he trying to do is he trying to weed out play actors. He trying to weed out people that just want to use serving the kingdom for their own gain. Like, and that's why so many of these preachers and ministers, they turn to false doctrine. But they turn to prosperity gospel. They turn to false prophecies and all these other denominations, and they turn to changing their church from a church to a nightclub, and like they start signing off on other people's sin. The reason they do that is because doing this right is too hard. Doing this right take too much. Doing this right will have you struggle too much. Doing this right must not be right, because if it was, I wouldn't have to go through all this. Maybe I'm just too judgmental, and that's why God doesn't want me to blah, blah, blah. Like, maybe I just talk about sin too much. Maybe I talk about repentance too much. But maybe my doctrine is too hard. Maybe I need to water it down a little bit. We'll get some money then. Right? Like, you know, like it's not very many people who are willing to stick it out, even if they did not have everything they needed up front. It's not very many people who's willing to push toward that mark and say, Lord, look, now I know we ain't got nothing, but I ain't gonna give up. I might not be able to do nothing today, but like, I ain't gonna walk away from this. But now, you know, I needed a place to stay. Like, I lost my job, couldn't pay my rent. Now we ain't got a studio. Now I got nowhere to set up my office. But now I got nowhere to put my equipment. Heck, if I got to live in it, if I got to live with it in my car, then so be it. I ain't giving up. Man, look, he looking for rugged individuals. People that could just tough it out and still get up the next morning and do what they got to do. Paul only wanted to bring the gospel to the nations. He was always beat, poor, hungry, and in prison. And you mean to tell me we supposed to be sitting somewhere on a throne? And we teach a watered down gospel. I mean, not me, but still. Like, all these preachers who think that they supposed to live the king life just because they the so-called servants of God. Well, I'm a servant of God. I'm supposed to be on the big seat. I'm supposed to have the big ring. Heck, and while you at it, go ahead and slap this crown on my head. I'm the servant of God. It's like, well, that ain't how the apostles live. Man, the apostles went through just to be able to teach the gospel. They went through. Even if they're going through wasn't even related to the fact that they did teach the gospel. See, and sometimes your trials don't even seem related to the fact that God just want to, man, that truck was loud. Like, even if your trials don't even seem related to the fact that God just want to grow you up, right? Like, see, like some of your trials won't even be as a direct result of persecution, right? Because the enemy, he can wage warfare on you in every area of your life just to get you to take your eyes off the mission. Oh, okay, so you want to do the mission. All right, well, yeah, now here's a house fire, right? Like, a house fire don't seem anywhere near related to the mission at hand. Now, it'll be different if you being focused on the mission brought a trial in your life that seemed related to it, like being a street preacher, right? A lot of street preachers end up in prison just because they was preaching and somebody ain't like it and took offense to it. And what that do is that caused them to grow in what is called morale, right? When Christians suffer persecution, specifically because of the gospel they teach, like, that make them want to do it even more. And so what the enemy like to do is he like to bring trials in your life that don't even seem related to it, just to keep your eyes off of it. See, like, when he persecute you as a direct result of you being on the mission, like, it's almost like a suicide attempt. Like, that's the last thing he can do, right? All the other trials and tribulations you went through didn't work. So now I gotta face him head on. Like, all these other little distractions, being without a car, being without a house, losing your job, and all this other stuff. Like, all of that stuff didn't work. But now my last thing to do is to face you head on. See, and that's what really set a lot of people off balance, is because they never really make these connections. Now, when you was focusing on just living your life and playing video games, you never lacked anything. And now you set your heart to serve God and walk with God or grow spiritually, and it's like now it seems like everything get took away. And it get made to look like God don't want you to do good. Because if he did, he wouldn't let all of these bad things go on in your life while you were trying your best. That's what it could really get made to look like. Look, man, like, you don't hear stuff like this. Like, I'm telling you things that I learned in positions when I could have lost my faith forever. I'm telling you things that I learned when I was in positions where I could have walked away from God for good. I'm telling you things that I learned when I was in positions when I could have done the most damnable thing in my life just to get out of that position. Stuff like this, man. Like, you don't hear people saying stuff like this because most of the time a person go through this, they always end up turning on God. They usually turn on God. And look, when I was much earlier in my faith, I probably have been saved like 3 or 4 months. I remember like there was one thing I really wanted God to fix in my life. And I'm not going to say what that is because I don't want to put somebody else's business out there. It was one thing that I really wanted God to solve in my life. I prayed about it every day. I tried to do the best that I could. I tried to lead by example. Tried my best to do what I could. And it seemed like his answer to that prayer was to just take it away. And that, bro, like that brought so much bitterness in my heart toward God. It was crazy. I was so bitter at God for that. I'm like, well, what is the use? And all of this crucifying the flesh and living a set apart life and laying my needs on the altar and just trusting God that he'll fix them, if all I get is the worst end of that stick at the end of it. Like it almost had me wondering if I was even praying to the true and living God. Like what? Like, did my salvation come from somewhere else? Like look, bro, stuff like this you don't hear people say. And I'm like, and this is all just for nothing. All is all just for nothing. And then that night I went to sleep and I seen Jesus in a dream, and he looked at me and he had these piercing eyes, right? Like his eyes didn't necessarily have a certain color or nothing like that to him. He looked at me and I seen him on the throne, and he was wearing the Hebrew the priestly garments. That's what he was wearing, was the priestly garments. I didn't see a great white throne. I didn't see feet like brass and hair as wool and eyes like fire. I didn't see that. I saw my high priest sitting on his throne, looking at me, looking through me. And he said, I understand that you don't understand, but I'm the one that's fighting for you. It wasn't until years later that I realized I lost one of the biggest headaches in my whole life. I lost one of the potentially greatest headaches I would have ever went through in my whole life. I just didn't know. I just didn't know. And sometime when you are in encountering a lot of loss, you really ain't losing at all. You just don't know the rest of the story. That's why you still gotta trust God. You still gotta trust God even through loss, because you might actually be winning and you don't even know yet. Like, you just gotta trust that God know what he's doing. I don't. Oh, and he forgave me too. Oh, and that was the most sobering dream I ever had in my whole life. I've never had a dream more sobering than that. I mean, he didn't look scary. Nothing. Like, he looked at me like he cared about me. I mean, he still looked mad though. But still, like, you ever seen somebody give you a look that express two different kinds of emotions? Right? Like, you ever been frustrated at somebody, but at the same time you cared about them? Like, somebody yelling at you, nagging at you, cursing you over something they really need, and you like, dang. Like, see, I don't even know how to do it on purpose. Like, it's something that gotta happen. And it's like, look, now I know that you need this, so I'm gonna do it anyway, but chill out. Like, you know what I'm saying? Just chill out, man. It ain't all that big a deal. Hey, all you had to do was ask. I've been asking. You like, well, dang, I hear you. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, man. Oh, man. But it seemed like, man, the living God, man, he's so much more infinite in patience than I could ever be. Like, man, like, if I was dealing with somebody like me, bro, especially at that time, I would have let him go a long time ago. Like, I ain't even lying to you, bro. And the whole time, all you trying to do is cut off cancer in their life, and they sitting around thinking you just punishing them and taking stuff from them and all of that kind of stuff. Like just the whole thing with my car. Like I wouldn't do it nothing wrong at all. Heck, and that wasn't even like the only, bro, that wasn't even the only thing. It was just sitting there parked, and I'm sitting on the couch watching TV with my wife. Like I get a call at 10:27 on a Saturday. I was just about to go out of town the next day. 10:27 on a Saturday. I get a text message to come pick up my daughter. By 10:32, somebody driving drunk down the wrong side of the street smacked my car the whole extra house down into my neighbor's yard. That was just enough time to get in that car and end up unalive. Just enough time to end up not here no more. Like I would have been still in the street trying to unlock the door because I ain't have a key fob, and end up ran over by both cars. Had I got out off the couch and instead of sitting there just too tired to want to move, I'm like, I'm just tired. I don't feel like driving right now, man. Y'all should have called me 3-4 hours ago. Why y'all want me to come and do this at 10 o'clock at night? I'm sitting there trying to think of something to say. Like, I mean, because like I was in the middle of falling asleep. I'm sitting there caught in the middle of trying to think of something to say to be able to tell them, like, I'm gonna just have to do it tomorrow. And thinking about how to just get up and do it anyway. It's like, next thing I know, I heard thunder outside. It wasn't even thunder, man. Like, it wasn't even thunder. Like, dead serious. It just wasn't. I'm like, wow. And you want to know something, though? I ain't even gonna lie to you. I had a whole lot of struggles regarding that car. That car was a struggle, bro. And like, it's not even a car that I necessarily had a chance to even enjoy having. Like, it wasn't nothing wrong with the car. Like I wanted the car, but I just had too many struggles surrounding that car that involved everything else but something being wrong with the car. And I can't necessarily say what all of those are, because even if I did, somebody wouldn't know how to see it that way unless they were in my shoes, right? And I done prayed, like, Lord, I need something sorted out with my car. Like, I want to keep the car, but right now I got way too many headaches going on in every area of my life surrounding having this car. And like, whole time it ain't nothing wrong with the car. It's like I would have never just gave the car away. Heck, I wouldn't have wanted that to happen. Like, that put me in a bad position. I can't even get up and go to work now. Like I would have never made a choice like that willingly. Like, I mean, like what kind of man won't no transportation at the beginning of the winter, right? But God allowed it to just be took away, not broke down and unable to fix right now. Because if it was broke down, I can guarantee you I'd be outside trying to fix it every day. But just took away all the praying I did, but regarding all the other situations in my life, and that car being the center of it. And I really can't say what it is. It almost kind of confused people, like, what could it be? What could it be? That I just can't talk about, but that's his way of answering prayer sometimes, is just to take stuff away. And I wanted to be mad just because people usually are mad. I really wanted to be very furious. Like, And like, for the simple fact that the lady got out of the car dogging me over it, dogging me, because you drove drunk down the wrong side of the street, speeding and hit my car. It was parked. She really tried to dog me over it. I still could not get myself to be mad. I just couldn't. Because it's only when you encounter enough trials that seem similar to this, do you then develop the right attitude about stuff. That's the fruit of the Spirit. Long suffering, patience, temperance. Like, man, like my patience being tried right now. Dead serious, it really is. But heck, I remember situations where people had to be patient with me. So how can I just sit here and lose patience when people had to be patient with me? Still being patient with me. Like, that's why I can't seem to get myself to be putting some kind of rush deal on everything. Because I remember when I was somebody people had to be patient with. I remember when I made mistakes and people had to be patient with me to solve them. And not to mention, I remember going through something like this before, a whole lot of times with just different things. And I learned that losing your patience don't get you nowhere. Like, it really solves nothing. It really just don't. And making a mess out of the situation only really just makes a mess out of the situation. I'm like, man, I should go downtown. Like everybody tells me, like, you should press charges on that girl. Like, I ain't pressing no charges on that girl. She already got enough problems. Like, I don't see what sense if it would make me to go and then push a greater issue than what she already got. I'm not that kind of person. She was intoxicated. She probably wouldn't have done that in her right mind. Heck, I mean, her license could get suspended over this. This is probably like I don't know how many, like, I ain't about to go there, man, but still, I'm like, she already in enough trouble. I'm not about to press charges on this girl. All I want is another car, that's all. Like, all I want is another car to be able to take my kids back and forth to school in. Like, I was just getting ready to start door dashing and everything, man, just so that way, like, you know, heck, I can, like, work at my own pace and just work out of the car that I'm paying for once every couple weeks. Heck, if it's gonna cost me money, it's just gonna have to make me some, right? And I'm like, you know what? This is not my first time seeing something like this. I'm just like, well, thank God, man. He gonna bless me with something better then, because I don't go through this for nothing. I just don't. And sometimes it's hard to praise God and trust God when you're in the middle of a situation. It's hard. Like, I could never understand why all the old heads and all the older believers and the ones who much more seasoned than I am always talk about, oh, I gave God the best praise through my trial. I'm like, how can you do that? Like, how can you give him your best praise through your trial when he let the stuff happen? Like, I don't even know how to get that out. Like, I wish I could. Like, I don't even know how to be fake enough to be like that. I really don't want to do that. Like, I'm mad. Like, I don't even like the fact that he just let this happen to me. I remember being that person who just could not get a praise out unless I was being hypocritical about it, just to say that I did it. Right? Like, you can try and get a praise out all you want to. But if it's not in spirit and in truth, you're a liar. Even if you still stopped and said, oh, thank you, Lord. Oh God, you gonna get the glory out of this, and the whole time you bitter. See, I'm not good at being fake, even when it come to God. Like if I'm really mad, I'm mad. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not that good at being a play actor, even in my secret prayer closet. Like, and it don't mean I never been one, and it don't mean I can't be one. It's just that when I'm trying to be for real, I gotta be for real. I ain't lying to you. I'm peed off. But it's only when you know the word, you know what God say in his word. It's only when you've been around that block before and you saw how many times he delivered you from that, then you can praise God. But it's hard to just start off like that. Like, I ain't even gonna lie to you. It's hard to just wake up one day knee deep in sin. Then you get saved. Like, and then next month you got the worst hell of your life and you praising God. It's hard to just form into that kind of person. Like, all because you tried to. No, you need to have that grown out of you. That nature, the fruit of the Spirit, has to grow out of you. You can't just put that on like you put on the armor of God. Like, you can't fake the fruit of the Spirit. If you really ain't patient, like, you can try your best to act like it. If you really don't have long suffering, you can try your best to act like it. And it's always going to fall apart. And so God's way of working on us to develop the fruit of the Spirit, that's what working on us means. Oh, God is still working on me. Well, is he working on growing the fruit of the Spirit in you? Like, that is the work God is doing on us, is developing the fruit of the Spirit in us. And there is no developing the fruit of the Spirit without the Spirit. Bro, like, you need to know you got the Holy Ghost. You need to remember that day it came upon you like fire. You know what I'm saying? Like, you need to know that. God's way of working on us is to develop the fruit of the Spirit in us. God's way of doing that is to grow us up through trials and tribulations and deliverances. Yeah, he can deliver you from sin. That's working on you too. That's part of it. But the most part of it is developing the fruit of the Spirit in you. Like, everything about salvation is not just about not sinning. Like, see, like, that's what some people make being a Christian all about. No, being a Christian is not mostly about just not sinning. That's not even half the story. Just not sinning, that's a small deal. Heck, a sinner can stop sinning. Well, they can stop some. Like, you know what I'm saying? But it's like it's not about not sinning. It's about growing the fruit of the Spirit in you. Heck, man, like, committing a sin is not even something on the top of your head. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you more worried about being like Christ, not more worried about not sinning. Like, all that, being saved is about not sinning. It's like, man, that's religious. That's why so many people walk away from church stuff, because people make it sound like it's all about, like, what you don't do anymore. Like, you do. Like, yeah, that matters. But if being like Christ is not the most part of this, is not the most of what you think about, I don't know. I don't know. Heck, if all you worried about is not going to hell, then you still ain't focusing on going to heaven. If all you worried about is not going to hell, you still are not setting yourself up for what it takes to go to heaven. Because if you too worried about not going to hell, I don't know if you know him anyway. Like if you can't even trust that you receive salvation, like you know what I'm saying? It's like, what the heck? Like, and I know we get there sometime, and sometime them trials can put us in situations when we don't even know if we saved anymore. We like, oh, so I don't even have the protection of God in my life. I must not be saved. Man, the devil would love that. Like that's step one of getting you to walk away in the heat of the moment. Is getting you to no longer trust that you made a transaction on the cross. And see, like that's why I commend people who trust that they got saved, but they don't know what it's about at all, and they still really just not saved. But it's like, well, you're doing one thing right. You do trust the fact that you gave your life to Christ, but it's like you still not living a giving my life to Christ kind of a life. And I get it, man. The enemy will work that warfare on your mind, man. And the whole time he behind like what it is you going through. Heck, I mean, the devil will be behind what you going through, and then he'd be trying to sit there and get you to point the finger at God. But ultimately, God is involved in it. He let it happen. He allowed you to go through it. And I mean, don't do this literally, but instead of pointing the finger at God, point the middle finger at the devil. And I said don't do that literally. I'm not trying to promote that here, but still, like, have that kind of attitude. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, yeah, now you thought, and like, let me not say that, because I don't want to invite more unnecessary trials in my life, to be honest. Having that, yeah, you thought you got me this time. Nope, because God could so easily say, oh, okay, so he proud. Do it again, Satan. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like sometimes I'll be thinking about stuff like that. Like you know, he said, man, to take heed. As soon as a man think he stand, take heed lest he fall. Like, you know, hey. I mean, like, you gotta take stuff like that serious, though, for real. Soon as you start getting on proud and high and mighty about your righteousness, but now you end up fornicating that night. Like, how did that happen? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, how did that happen? Hey, but stuff happened. Stuff do, man. Like, you got to be on your guard for real. Like, you really do have to be on your guard, because and like, it'll be one moment, man, you deep in praise and worship, and then all somebody got to do is say something, and that whole atmosphere get turned upside down. Like, you got to really put on the armor of God for real. And just in case I didn't, I put on the armor of God before everybody get off work, out of school, and before I head to work. Like, I need to make sure I'm covered. I don't know who gonna have some kind of a something going on. Like, you know, heck, man, like, you ain't too good to fall prey. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's why you gotta trust wholeheartedly in the fact that God, Jesus Christ, is your shepherd. And you can't trust nothing else but that. I don't trust my ability to do nothing. All I trust is the fact that God is on my side. That's it. I don't trust nothing. I don't trust what I have. I don't trust what I can do. I don't trust nothing. All I trust is that God loves his children. That's it. Well, because the moment I start trusting in what I have and what I can do is when it all falls apart. Nope. I ain't doing it. Like, I don't trust who's on the team. It's not that I don't trust them. It's just that I don't put my trust in who I have, and what I can do. I don't. It could be used to test me at any moment. And I see this happen too many times. Because when it's time for God to use you to do an absolute miracle, you don't want to be the kind of person who ain't dead enough, and you start using the gifts of the Spirit to start making yourself a great one. Some things I've done, people don't know nothing about. Nothing. All because I was told this before. Like, you have to be taught these things. Stuff will happen in your life that's designed to make you a dead man. And you gotta know that. It's designed to make you a dead man. Heck, I mean, Jesus said that if you don't hate your life, you cannot be one of his disciples. Now, how do you hate your life? Like this. I hate I ain't gonna lie to you. I hate it. And I don't like hate it like some kind of evil, but man, like, I'll be one of y'all in a heartbeat. I ain't even gonna lie to you. Like, I'll be somebody else in a heartbeat. Like, I'm and look, if I had the opportunity to step out of my shoes and be somebody else, I would definitely do that. Like, and they ain't gotta have more than me. They ain't gotta know more than me. Like, I am not interested in trying to live here in any longer than what I got to. If I was on my deathbed, just, hey man, look, I got saved, right? So, like, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, maybe I shouldn't say stuff like that, because, like, what if I'm really not as ready as I think I am, right? Take heed lest you fall, right? Always think about stuff like that. Don't ever tempt and taunt the devil. Don't do it, because outside of Christ likeness, you are no match for him. All that the devil under my feet stuff, like, here you suffering stage 4 cancer. It's like, hey, look, now come on, man, like, stop all that. All that the devil under my feet stuff, and here you is with no finances, no resources, can't do nothing for nobody. Stop all that. Like, even Michael the archangel, the one who cast him out of heaven, did not put up a railing accusation against him. Some of us take the devil too lightly. It's only when you become aware of this stuff, like even some of the most low-level demons, we take too lightly. Don't take this stuff too lightly outside of Christ likeness. Because once you put on Christ likeness, like, you ain't got no feelings about it whatsoever. Oh, that's a demon. Okay, cast it out. Like, I ain't scared, and, like, you know, and I ain't about to just walk around all bold and high and mighty and proud, like I dare you to try something, devil. Like no, like it just don't matter. Like you want to get to the point to where none of this matters. Nothing matters. Hey, you just seen a miracle. Hey, you just did a miracle. It don't matter. They're still going to die one day. Like you know what I'm saying? It's like, oh man, you just laid your hands on that person and they just grew an arm. Yeah, but they're still going to die one day. So, hey, like that was for them to become a believer, not me. Like that was for the glory of God, not mine. But so what am I glorying in? That's for God's glory. Yeah, I thank God. Yeah, I give him the glory, but heck, man, time to get on to the next miracle. You know what I'm saying? It's just heck, man, like hey, like yeah, I'm gonna go do another one. No big deal. Just walking around a poor broke bum doing miracles. Bro, I remember I had a time in my life like that. I ain't even gonna lie to you. I can't necessarily say I walking around doing miracles, but I remember I had a time in my life when I was at a real low point, man. And I was so on fire, man. I'm walking around praying for folk, man. People would just walk up to me, start telling me their life story out of nowhere. They don't know me from a can of paint. They don't even know I'm a Christian. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they don't know nothing about that. All I know is that they just walked up to me, bawling their eyes out. Well, can you please help me? It's like that. What do you expect me to do? I'm on foot just like you. Like for as long as you know, like we both in the same boat. You know what I'm saying? But guess what? You know the living God. They don't. Heck, man, not 2 minutes later, you done led them to Christ. Can't do nothing for yourself, but you out here leading folk to heaven. Like, come on, man. Like, bro, look, like you can't beat a life like that. You really just can't. Like, there is nothing in comparison to that. Like, you have nothing, therefore you've got nothing to worry about trying to keep up with every day. Heck, the most you got to your name is a toothbrush and a wash rag and a phone. You know what I'm saying? Heck, like just 2 months ago, you had it going on. Next thing you know, a supernatural trial take place in your life. And you use that for the glory of God. Like, forget it. Like I ain't got nothing else to do. I ain't got a car to wash. I ain't got a house to clean. Heck, everybody done used me up for what I was good for, and then when I had nothing after that, they all left me. And so forget it. Let them all have their life. Heck, everybody done ran me raggedy and spent up all my money and, you know, had me tending to their problems all day long. And as soon as I got one, nobody wouldn't be bothered with me. Heck, it seemed like everybody love you when, like everybody love you when you can do for them, but don't nobody love you when like it seemed like everybody love you when they know that there's things that you can do for them, but don't nobody want to be bothered with you when, like it's your turn to need the help. And and I can't say everybody like that, because some people will stay down with you even in your worst moments. Some people will be the ones to be offering you a leg up. Some people be the one to be like, man, Corey was the one that did this for us. Man, he did that for us. Man, he built this. Man, he cleaned that. Man, he fixed this and that. I don't like seeing him like that. And let me go and offer him a bedroom or like an office to work out of or something. Like, I know if only he had the opportunity, he could flip this all around. Like bro, like that's what I keep telling myself. I'm not lazy. I'm not irrational. If only I had the opportunity, it would be all used for the glory of God. Sometimes I think about stuff like that. It's like, God, now you know, all you got to do is put enough finances in my hands. That's it. All you got to do is put me in the perfect opportunity to put enough finances in my hands. It's game on. I know. And because I know that, and because I know that you're going to raise too much attention too quickly, you're going to have to go through, because you're going to have to be much more dead than you are now. Like, if some of y'all, God know exactly what you would do if only you was in a different position. God know exactly what you would do if only you had a bedroom to sleep in. Heck, now you got your own office, you doing your work, and you flipping the kingdom of darkness on his head. God know exactly what you would do if only you made an extra $1,000 a month. He like, I know that you would do that. And because I know that in a very short amount of time, you would wreak havoc on the kingdom of darkness, it's why right now you just got to go through. Because once you get there and you become much more of a target than you are, I don't want you to be set up for failure. That's why a lot of us got to go through. Some of us, he know what gifts he put in us. Like he know what he called us to in our lives. He know this. That's why it seemed like we always rendered incapable. Out of the sky blue. It's like, now God, now you didn't call me to this. Like, and we just got done investing in that. It's like the moment I get done putting all these things in play, my whole life flip upside down. It's like, yeah, like, I'm sorry, but that next move you make, that can be the move that'll bring the devil in your bedroom at night. And I need to make sure you trust me. Nope. You need to know you trust me. If you can trust me through this, then when the devil start walking around in your bedroom at night threatening you, you better not release that movie. You better not release that song. You better not open that church. You better not release that book. You better not start street preaching. Man, you need to know that you know God. Like, you need to know you do. That's why God allowed this stuff to happen. Like, I know a church right now who teach the realest doctrine I ever heard. And they've been trying to grow a base camp that's open 24 hours a day. I'm like, if only they had a few $1 million, this world coming to an end. And it seemed like they've been struggling with finances from the start. But like, in a lot of ways, I actually kind of feel guilty myself, because I haven't even been put in a position to be able to be the best supporter I could be. And that's specifically because I got my own stuff going on. Heck, like, you know what I'm saying? Like I got my own thing going on right now that God called me to do, and I'm also struggling with finances. Hey, it'll be a matter of time before God raises us all up and we end up joining together at some point. That's what I'm hoping for. I really am. But I just want you to know, my hands getting freezing. I'm still not done talking. I got so much to say about this stuff, y'all. It's crazy. So many of us go through the same exact kind of trials, man. All the time, man. But you've been put in that furnace of affliction to be tried, purified like gold in the fire. That's how God purifies his church. He weed out the play actors through suffering. Like, and then like after it ain't enough burning you can do, is then when he just form you up into a vessel. something he can use. All those people who wasn't with him for real, they end up walking away. They end up going to go join some mega church teaching a false doctrine and all that other kind of stuff. They end up finding other people to hang out with and all that stuff. They end up teaching different doctrine. They end up leading people to sin and all that stuff right from the pulpit. But it's them super soldiers, man, who just don't know how to quit. Just don't know how to quit. Like, what's the use in quitting? If I walk away from this, then what do I have? Like, what do I really have? Have you ever realized how empty you would be without the Lord on your mind day and night? Like, what's the joy in anything without God? That's why I can't quit. That's why you can't quit. But some people come to God for everything but God. That's what he's trying to weed out the way right now, because they only gonna become casualties. He said, either you gather with me or you scatter against me. Not scatter away from me, but scatter against me. But some people don't want to gather with him. They just want to hang out and get the same reward as everybody else just because they was around. He trying to get them people out of the way. All some people want to do is just hang out like around people who did gather with him and get the same reward just because they said they were saved too. Don't work like that. That's why I put these messages out here, y'all. And sometimes this would be taking me so long to get a new video out because I'm going through something that's going to help me give y'all something to hear. I'm being forged in the fire right now. Ain't no talking right now. And sometime I can. Like, you know what I'm saying? Still forged in the fire, gathering with him. And what does gathering mean? Gathering, the harvest. The harvest is plenty, the laborers are few. See, like in the whole church arena stuff, like you will realize it's a whole lot of Christians, but it ain't enough servants of God. It's a whole lot of Christians, but it ain't enough servants. It's a whole lot of Christians, but it ain't enough believers. It's a whole lot of hired folk, but it ain't enough people actually doing work. It's crazy. Some people got the wrong impression. God requires you to do something for the kingdom, but not to just hang out saying I'm saved and then you expect to get the same crown Peter got. God requires you to preach the gospel. No, like you don't got to be called to preach. Called to preach is religious stuff. But that's church folk talk. I don't even know what being called to preach is. Called to preach. What the heck is that? That's a commandment. That's not some calling. There is no spiritual office in the Bible called preacher. None. None. That's just something everybody who say they serve God should do. But other than that, y'all, I'm about to get myself ready to go ahead and stitch this video together. I didn't want to have to stitch it, but somebody kept calling me in the middle of it. And now I got two separate clips that I need to have put together. So It's been real. I hope somebody was blessed by this. In Jesus' name, amen.